Welcome to Great Talk and Entertainment. I'm your host, KJ, and this is the podcast where we review movies and TV shows from all your favorite superheroes, including Marvel Comics, DC Comics, and much more. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talk and Entertainment official channel. Now let's go, baby. Welcome back, everyone, to my spoiler reviews to the new Star Wars series on Disney Plus, Ahsoka, the new Star Wars series in this franchise. And again, I'm going to review episode 3, and again, it is a spoiler. So if you have not seen this show, please pause this, hit the thumbs up, go watch the first 3 episodes, come back and check out all my spoiler reviews and the next ones in the future. So, y'all been warned. Let's get into it. Episode 3 is an action pack that is filled with thrills and surprises, while the shows at times feels a little bit of a strain of connecting so many Star Wars properties. The focus on expanding the universe and re-examining the core definition of what is to be a Jedi provides a lot of promising ways for the plot to continue to unfold. This episode starts off with Sabrine and Yuang doing some Jedi training, as we see Sabrine kind of struggle a lot because she hasn't done this for a while, and from Yuang's perspective, the droid, he indicates that she's not where she needs to be at, and she's not that great, and he's not very blunt about it, which I think is very funny. Ahsoka walks in, and she jumps in, and she tells Sabrine to put on the shield mask, and they battle and practice Jedi training. And the purpose of this was to have her feel the Force and use the Force, but she struggles with that. Ahsoka and her are butting heads at the same time as well, but we also see them finally work together and help each other out in a way where they start understanding each other. We see the two start caring about each other. And, of course, they have a long history of why each, from both individuals, why they don't want to work together or be around each other, because there's still personal wounds of them both feel betrayed by each other in 2 different ways. And I think that's really cool to see them try to overcome this. And we're slowly seeing them forgive each other in their own ways, and they're going to say it in their own ways as well. So there's a lot of the the Jedi Master and the Padawan experience going on there. The next scene shows Hera Syndulla has a meeting with the councils, who deny her request of a team to check out this location that's possibility of Thrawn being alive. And they tell her no, before the obvious reason is the character Ezra, who all 3 of these characters so far have a personal, close relationship with, and they know him very well. If you watch Star Wars Rebels, there was a big final. Again, everybody's been talking about it. If you listen to this, that Thrawn and Ezra battled, and these giant Purgils, which are just giant whales of Star Wars, came in, and they both got captured by them in a way. Kind of like Pinocchio getting eaten by Moby Dick in a way. So it's one of those dynamics, but it's the idea of, could these 2 be alive and survive? But the councils deny it because they just don't want to believe that he's alive, and they think the way everything is going right now is good, so they have no reason to believe it, and they're going to keep denying until somebody disbelieves them. Also, the council shows some shadiness, and maybe there's a possibility that they all work for the Empire. That's another thing. Like this new Republican thing, it's getting kind of more shadier. There's people who still believe in the Empire, and it looks like the Dark Siths are coming back in a way. So, again, this is one of the things I like about this episode is it's very Star Wars-like, obviously, but I also like the idea is they're kind of, without saying a lot, they're planting things that could be a possibility of a big bad villain that we may see in a future Star Wars film. It's been a while since they've done a Star Wars movie, so I bet they have a character that could be like a Thanos level threat. And I think that's really cool if this is the thing, because there's so much going on here. And, it looks like the director, Dave Filoni, I hope I said his last name right. David Finoli. I hope I said your name right. Last name right. And it looks like, there's certain Star Wars properties from books, novelties, and comics that he's trying to make canon within the Star Wars universe. So there's a lot of possibilities of what they could do, but they go back and Hera tells them like, hey, we can't get this. So it's up to Ahsoka, Sabrin, and Yuang to discover this, which they do. They discover Morgan's lair, which is a giant space like time warp, but it's obviously a lot bigger and it's a little bit more powerful, which indicates goes as fast as the purgils, like the whales, and it's very interesting. Then they get into some action-packed spaceship battle, and it looks like the Sith Lord jumps them, which we see Ahsoka get in a space juke, and she's just standing on top of that spaceship that they're flying, and she's just reflecting back these giant laser cannon shots back at her, just like a G. Like, you can definitely tell that she definitely has learned a lot from Anakin Skywalker, aka Darth Vader. And we see like this theme is these are like the non-traditional Jedis, basically. Like, these Jedis are literally taking risks, taking big crazy chances, and putting her life in danger. Like, can you imagine if her space helmet got cracked and she died in outer space? That'd be crazy. Like, that's how dangerous this was, but she went out there like a G and just two lightsabers reflecting these, and these are giant laser cannon shots. Like, this is why their spaceships has a lot of armor and it takes a lot of damage, because this is a very powerful laser beam cannons, and it was nuts to see that. And I also like just the idea of what they were doing with that. And then we see Sabrin and Ahsoka start working together, because if they didn't, they were both going to lose Yuang. And he finally got all the data to understand their location in this planet that they landed in and hid and escaped the Sith Lords, which I think is really cool. And it loses their trait, and that's how the episode ends. So there was a lot going on. So let's talk about the purgils. So these are pretty much whales, and they use whale type traveling things like you would see in the ocean. So they travel in groups, and they know how to travel, and they can go from galaxy to galaxy, which it brings to one of my theories that I want to share again. I think this is going to be a multiverse story, or even a saga. Now, they never really talked about the multiverse in the Star Wars live action so far, but it looks like they're hinting on it. And again, I also believe this is their way to reboot the whole franchise and retell the story of Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, Princess Leia, Han Solo, and more like the more fan favorite characters from the past. Because again, technically it's been a long time since they done a Star Wars reboot from the Luke Skywalker era and Darth Vader. And I think they're trying to keep the prequels as what they are. But I think this is their way to do it because, the idea of rebooting it is not a bad idea, and having casting it with new actors playing the fan favorite Star Wars characters that most people recognize, it's not a bad idea, but I could see them pulling that off. And I also think they'll keep all the actors and actresses who play Star Wars characters within the Disney Plus series. And you're asking me, well, why would they just retell the same story? Well, I think they will, but I think they'll change it up to more of how some of the Star Wars comic books told the story about, like Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, Darth Vader. Because I think at the time, again, George Lucas, it was a different era for him. And, he didn't have a big budget. And, at this time, the Star Wars was very new. And nobody really didn't think it was going to work. So, obviously, time has changed. And now more people are wanting Star Wars. People are demanding Star Wars content in a way. And, again, this is just them I think they could pull that off, and I think it would be acceptable for that. I think there's another dynamic way of telling these stories about these characters. And I think that some of our fan favorite characters being retold again and being told in a way that they wanted to tell it back then is a possibility. And there's so much more about these characters that, like, casual movie fans and TV shows fans who watch this stuff but don't read the comic books or the novelties and stuff, I think they'll get a better aspect and new layers of understanding their fan favorite characters. That's what I think that could do. But that's just a theory. The next topic is Sabrin. Just to see her struggle is, I like the idea, and they're trying to tell the audience like anybody can join and be a Jedi, but not everybody's going to be a Jedi. It's like pro wrestling in a way. Anybody can become a pro wrestler, but not everybody's going to become a WWE superstar, main event WrestleMania, be the next John Cena, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Edge, and all that. But that's kind of like being a Jedi. Like, it's like some people are born athletic and some people are not. And the people who are born athletic in a way, who have that extra advantage by just being tall or being a little bit bulkier and stronger at a younger age, it helps. And she's just not one of them when it comes to being a Jedi. But could she do it? Oh yeah, I think that's what the most exciting part is they're finally telling a Jedi story a way that I think maybe George Lucas wanted to tell but never got a chance to do it in the beginning. But to see somebody struggle to focus on the Force, look at the past characters of Jedis who just naturally got the Force ready, who can move like a cup or a coffee mug, or their lightsaber they almost lost their lightsaber, they can use the Force, focus really good, and bring it back. Well, not everybody has that advantage. Not everybody was born and got the Jedi training at an early age. She didn't. She had a falling out and she walked away a lot earlier than others. So her trying to get this is really cool, but I like that because she represents being the underdog, and I think that's really cool about that. And I like the dynamic of this Jedi story being told with her version of it. And I think it's nice and refreshing to see that than seeing your traditional Star Wars character learn to become a Jedi and they make it look so easy, but they're showing how much difficult it is to be one with the Force. It's very difficult. And the biggest challenge is, how do you not let the dark side consume you to become a Sith Lord, as we see the other characters who are Sith Lords. And I just want to say that, we're getting that teacher student type thing too. Like, does the student overcome the teacher? Yes, of course. But would it be on this season? And do they have enough episodes for that? I don't know, because, again, I think this is about the star of the show and Asana, and I think this is her story. But I think that the goal is to tell her story, but maybe lead off to Sabrin's story and have her own spinoff where it shows her continue to grow as a Jedi, but also show her Mandalorian background, and maybe she could be one of the few Mandalorians who can be a Mando and a Jedi at the same time. And because they've been teasing an idea of somebody being Mandalorian and Jedi, and maybe she's the one. Maybe that she's the way of it. Because we're getting a new generation of Mandalorians, because we're getting, I would say, a new era of it, because now we got Mandalorians who don't wear the helmet, but we got Mandalorians who still do. And they're finding a way to find peace and still work together and team up when danger is coming. So she's just another part of it, and I think that's the idea of where they may go with these stories. But so far, I really like what they're doing. And then as far as the New Republican, again, this is the idea of this, how the console's being shady, is they don't want to find Thawne, but they want to do what Thawne did, but without him. And I think that's the big difference of what they're trying to do. Like, it's better to just believe that he's gone and continue it and succeed where the New Republican needs to be at. So when he does return, just in case, that the New Republican can be powerful enough to stop him if needed. But where they're at right now, it seems like they're not prepared for him, so they just don't want to believe that he's alive, and they don't want to open up Pandora's box, basically. So they don't want to send no team to check out it, because if there's any indication that he did survive, then everybody's screwed. Because that was like Darth Vader's like right-hand man in a sense, so coming all full circle. So that's why I keep mentioning the multiverse / reboot, because maybe he went into a different multiverse and found where Darth Vader did succeed. The Empire did conquer, got rid of all the Jedis, got rid of all the lightsabers. Maybe he found that one, because you never know. How you don't know how these Purgrills travel the galaxy. There's 2 galaxies, so that tells me there's 2 interdimensions. So that's why I bring that up. But that's just my theory, and that's where I think it may go. But other than that, this episode is really good. It gave you a lot. It was fun to watch, and it helps you understand these characters a lot better. And they have more time, obviously, because it's in TV format, to add more, give more of these characters more layers to appreciate them and become more fan favorites. So if I have to give this episode 1 out of 10, I'm definitely giving it a 10, just because it was really good, and I think they execute this story. It made sense, and it stayed on balance from the past 2 episodes. And it's a very clear setting of where this is going. So that's just my opinion on it. Again, I loved it. So that's my review. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talking Entertainment official channel. Subscribe, hit that notification so you can always be updated with all my latest content. Thank you, and peace out.